Alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Imagine for a moment, you are alone, no one is watching you, no human gaze can see what you are doing, neither your pain, nor your effort, nor your inner struggle. Yet, it is precisely at this moment that your value reaches its peak, for it is then that Allah sees, that He observes every beat of your heart, every supplication whispered in silence, every action performed with purity and sincerity. Have you ever thought that what you do when no one is watching is what builds you the most? It is what forges your true greatness. In this world where everything is often shown, exposed, and applauded, true spiritual wealth is not measured in the spotlight, but in the shadows, in discretion. Allah says in the noble Quran, "And do not give to the poor in public, nor encourage people to beg while you are rich." Surah Al-Ma'un. This verse reminds us that the intention must be pure, and that hidden actions, those that no one sees, have a much greater value. The chosen one, the one chosen by Allah, does not seek recognition from men. He acts to please Allah alone, in silence, with humility. It is in these moments, when the world seems to forget your efforts, that your reward is growing with the Almighty. Every tear shed, every silent sacrifice, every small act performed with faith is a precious pearl in the treasure you are building for the hereafter. You may have spent nights praying alone, tired, with no one knowing what you were doing. You may have made sacrifices that no one noticed, given up pleasures that no one saw. These actions are not wasted. Allah is there, fully aware, fully attentive. And He has promised that those who persevere in secret will receive immense rewards, far greater than human eyes can imagine. Today, I want you to keep this in mind. Your faith grows in secrecy. Your inner light shines even when everything around you is dark. Your invisible struggle is your greatest honor. Never let the gaze of others define your worth, for Allah is the ultimate judge, the one who sees everything, even what is hidden. Stay with me, because in this video, we're going to discover together how this invisible power you carry within you is the greatest wealth you can possess. How Allah rewards every sincere action, every step in the shadows, and why this is where the true greatness of the chosen one lies. Hold on, because this reminder is for you, the one who works silently, the one who perseveres even when no one is watching. Actions performed in secret, away from human eyes, hold immense spiritual value that many underestimate. Indeed, it is in the intimacy of our relationship with Allah that the purest sincerity lies hidden. For, as the Prophet Muhammad taught, the value of an action lies above all in the intention, niyyah, that motivates it. A good deed performed to please Allah alone, even if no one else sees it, is 1,000 times more precious than one performed for the recognition of men. Allah, the Almighty, revealed in the noble Quran, "Those who spend of their wealth night and day, in secret and in public, will have their reward with their Lord. They fear neither grief nor oppression." Surah Al-Baqarah 274. This divine promise assures us that every gesture made with sincere intention, even in the dark, is recorded, counted, and rewarded with infinite generosity. It is this divine justice that elevates the chosen one and brings him closer to his love. Purity of intention is therefore the key that transforms a simple act into a source of eternal light. A silent prayer, a discreet almsgiving, a gentle word spoken in a low voice, every action taken in the shadows, without pride or boasting, nourishes the soul and builds an invisible treasure that never runs out. This is why Islam places such emphasis on the importance of ikhlas, sincerity, which must accompany every step of the believer. It should not be forgotten that the devil often seeks to divert believers by pushing them to do their deeds to be seen or admired. But the one who remains faithful to the pure intention is protected, for Allah protects His chosen ones. They are the ones who, despite the trials, remain steadfast in secret, keeping their faith intact. They are the ones who will see their reward multiplied tenfold, for greatness is not measured by the visible quantity, but by the inner quality of the effort. Thus, understanding this fundamental truth inspires us to value our intimate relationship with Allah even more. It teaches us not to depend on human applause, but to seek divine approval above all else. For what we do in silence is what truly defines us, what establishes our standing with Allah, and what guarantees us an eternal place in His paradise. The Prophet taught that spiritual greatness lies in perseverance, patience, and sincerity, even when no one notices or praises these efforts. Every prayer performed discreetly, every fast observed without mention, every act of charity offered without fanfare is a sign of this pure faith. Consistency in these small things is a test, for it requires overcoming the temptation of human gratitude, pride, or even discouragement. But it is precisely this inner struggle, this fight in the shadows, that differentiates the chosen one from the simple believer. In the Quran, Allah says, "Those who spend of their wealth night and day, in secret and openly, will have their reward with their Lord." Surah Al-Baqarah 274. This revelation underlines the importance of consistency, whether overt or covert, but above all, the importance of sincerity behind the act. It is the small actions repeated with love, patience, and humility that build a strong faith, capable of withstanding the storms of life. The chosen ones are not those who impress with their great and spectacular deeds, but those who stand firm in simplicity, who love Allah in the solitude of their hearts, who nourish their soul with sincere and regular actions. It is in this silent fidelity that true spiritual power resides, a power that transforms, elevates, and purifies. Hidden efforts also forge a deep humility. They teach that everything comes from Allah, that without Him, no action can have value. This humility protects the chosen one from pride and vanity, allowing him to keep a pure and open heart, ready to receive divine guidance. It makes the believer approachable, patient and gentle, even in the face of difficulties, because he knows that his strength comes from his intimate connection with Allah. Moreover, these small, silent actions are a refuge from visible trials. When public tribulations strike, when difficulties become heavy, it is this intimate faith, built in secret, that sustains the soul. It is an invisible treasure that never runs out, an inner light that never goes out, even in the darkest night. Finally, the secret of this strong faith is often linked to a sincere humility. The chosen one knows that he is imperfect, that he falls, that he struggles. But he perseveres because he is convinced that every effort, however small, is seen by Allah and will be rewarded. This confidence gives the patience necessary to continue, day after day, without weakening with a serene heart. Through this understanding, the chosen one develops a deep love for Allah, a love that is not dependent on external circumstances, but is born from the inner conviction that every effort counts, even when no one is watching. It is this sacred bond that makes him special, a truly chosen servant. In the life of a believer, trials are not limited to the difficulties visible and apparent to the world. There are much deeper, invisible struggles that take place in the heart, in the soul, and which are often unrecognized, even ignored by others. These invisible trials, which many experience in silence, are nevertheless those that forge spiritual character and testify to the sincerity of a chosen one. They are the true battlefield of faith. These inner struggles can take different forms. The temptation of pride when receiving compliments, the fight against laziness when one must get up to pray at night, the fight against rising anger in the face of injustice, or the resistance to discouragement when recognition is slow in coming. These struggles are sometimes more difficult than external trials, because they are experienced in solitude, in the deepest intimacy of the heart. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, tests His chosen ones through these invisible trials in order to purify their faith and elevate their rank. The Prophet said, "The strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer, so rejoice in what happens to you, even if it is a difficulty. For in every trial, there is a blessing." These words remind us that every struggle, even a secret one, is an opportunity to draw closer to Allah. The value of these invisible trials lies in the fact that they are motivated solely by the will of Allah. The chosen one seeks neither recognition nor human consolation, but focuses solely on divine satisfaction. This makes these struggles more noble, more powerful, because they demonstrate a deep and sincere attachment to the Creator. In the silence of these inner battles, the soul is transformed, hardens while softening. It learns patience, resilience, and total trust in Allah. It is in this crucible that the chosen one forges his spiritual greatness. He becomes capable of enduring public trials, criticism, injustices, because he knows that his strength comes from this inner purification. Sometimes the chosen one may feel alone, misunderstood, even by those close to him, because they do not see what he is going through deep down. But this loneliness is a test in itself, which demands even more faith and perseverance. Allah sees this loneliness, He cherishes it, and He promises an immense reward for those who persevere despite everything. These invisible trials also have the power to bring the chosen one closer to Allah in a unique way. They create a permanent inner dialogue, an intimate connection where the soul turns to the Lord with sincerity, humility, and hope. It is often in these moments that the best invocations, the deepest supplications are born, because the heart is then open and vulnerable. The secret test also reveals the depth of a chosen one's character. It demonstrates their ability to remain upright, honest, and faithful, even when no one is watching. It is this quality that distinguishes the true believer, one who, despite difficulties, never deviates from the path laid out by Allah. It is important to remember that these invisible trials are not punishments, but means of purification. Allah, in His mercy, uses these moments to purify hearts, remove flaws, and strengthen faith. The Prophet said, "Do not grieve, for indeed, Allah is with us." This divine promise is a source of hope for all those who silently go through difficult times. In short, these inner struggles, though painful, are a sign that the chosen one is on the path to divine proximity. They testify to a sincere and deep commitment, a burning desire to please Allah alone. It is these invisible battles that prepare the believer to receive the light, peace, and eternal reward that only Allah can offer. When speaking of the elect, those whom God has chosen for a particular mission, it is crucial to understand that their reward is not measured only in this visible world, but especially in the hereafter, where actions done in secret take on their full value. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, looks at the heart, intentions, and invisible efforts that no one else can see. It is in this spiritual intimacy that true greatness is forged. In the Quran, Allah reminds us, "Say, verily, my prayers, my acts of worship, my life, and my death belong to Allah, Lord of the worlds." Surah Al-An'am 6:162. The total submission is the foundation of the ultimate reward. The chosen ones, those who work sincerely without seeking human recognition, are assured of a high place in the sight of Allah. Every action, however small, becomes a priceless treasure. It is important to understand that the rewards for these secret actions are often multiplied. The Prophet Muhammad said, Allah said, "I am with my servant as long as he remembers me." As this divine closeness is an inestimable reward, a privilege that the chosen ones often experience in silence, away from the gaze of the world. It is this intimate connection, this exclusive relationship with Allah, that gives their lives a deep meaning and an unwavering inner light. The chosen ones do not seek earthly glory, for they know that all that is seen is fleeting. Their hearts are anchored in faith, in the hope and certainty of eternal reward. Every sacrifice, every secret struggle, every night spent in prayer, every alms given in secret is an investment in their spiritual future. Allah promises in the Quran, "Those who spend of their wealth night and day, in secret and in public, will have their reward with their Lord." Surah Al-Baqarah 2:274. This divine promise is a source of hope and strength, especially when the difficulties mount and one feels alone in their struggle. The chosen believer draws his motivation from the certainty that his efforts will never be in vain. Whether in darkness or in light, Allah sees all and rewards with infinite justice. But this divine reward is not only material or visible, it is also spiritual. It includes inner peace, serenity of heart, the satisfaction of having accomplished what one had to do, and above all, closeness to Allah, the greatest of treasures. The Prophet said, "The best of people is the one who is most useful to others." And usefulness is not always spectacular. It is often discreet, in silent support, gentle words, patience, compassion shown in secret. The chosen one is the one who understands that his worth does not depend on the applause of the world, but on divine satisfaction. He learns to detach himself from vanities, to renounce human recognition, because he knows that his true reward is elsewhere, in the presence of God, in His infinite mercy. Furthermore, the reward for deeds done in secret is not limited to this worldly life. Allah guarantees that these deeds will bring light in the grave, support on the day of judgment, and a place in paradise. The Prophet said, "Whoever does a good deed will receive 10 times its value, up to 700 times its value." This multiplication also applies to hidden deeds, because sincerity increases their value. The chosen one, aware of this, never becomes discouraged, even if his efforts seem invisible or unrecognized. He remains confident in Allah's promise, knowing that every sacrifice is seen, recorded, and rewarded with infinite generosity. This certainty gives him the strength to persevere, to continue to act in secret, to cultivate his faith, and to nourish his soul with light. Moreover, this divine reward is also a protection. It protects the chosen one from doubts, anxiety, and trials that could overwhelm him. Allah never leaves His sincere servant without support. Their hearts are illuminated by an inner peace that surpasses all human understanding. This peace is a clear sign of divine reward in action. Finally, understanding this reality transforms the way the chosen one lives his faith. He focuses more on the quality of his actions than on their visibility. He learns to find joy in spiritual solitude, in silent prayer, in secret meditation, in personal efforts made solely to please Allah. This inner joy is an immediate reward, a foretaste of eternal happiness. At the end of this spiritual journey, it is crucial for the chosen one to understand that true greatness does not reside only in visible actions or sacrifices made, but in constancy and faithfulness to Allah, even in times of trial, solitude, and doubt. The silent perseverance, This faithfulness beyond appearances is what differentiates a sincere servant, a chosen one, from a simple believer. Consistency is the key to spiritual success. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, loves those who persevere, who do not allow themselves to be discouraged by difficulties, but who continue to advance, however slowly, on the path of righteousness. The Prophet said, "Actions are only as good as their sincerity and perseverance." Thus, the chosen one does not need great outward demonstrations. What matters is their sustained commitment, day after day. This fidelity requires an intimate and constant relationship with Allah, based on love, trust, and hope. Even when the trial seems insurmountable, when fatigue invades the soul, the chosen one turns to his Creator with humility and patience, knowing that every effort, however small, is recorded and valued. The remembrance of Allah becomes an inexhaustible source of strength. Faithfulness also involves accepting destiny, with all its trials and surprises. The chosen one knows that everything comes from Allah, that nothing is left to chance. This acceptance frees the soul from anxiety, stress, and fear. It allows it to approach every situation with serenity, even in the face of injustice or pain. The believer understands that what appears to be a trial is actually an opportunity for purification and elevation. In this faithfulness, the chosen one also finds the courage to forgive and reach out, even to those who have hurt him. He knows that resentment weighs down the heart and distances one from peace. Forgiveness is a mark of spiritual greatness, a sign that the soul is purified and guided by divine light. The Prophet said, "The strong is not the one who dominates others by force, but the one who controls his anger." This mastery is a fruit of fidelity and perseverance. It shows that the chosen one does not allow himself to be governed by his emotions or by the temptations of the world, but that he remains in control of himself, faithful to his faith and his principles. It is this mastery that prepares him to receive the greatest blessings, for Allah loves those who are constant and trustworthy. Moreover, faithfulness to Allah in the small things of daily life reveals inner greatness. It is not only in exceptional deeds that one recognizes a chosen one, but also in the sincerity with which he fulfills simple obligations, in patience in the face of ordinary difficulties, and in the humility with which he serves others. This constancy nourishes an inner light that illuminates the path, even in darkness. It gives the chosen one a peaceful and radiant presence that inspires and guides those around him. The community finds in him an example of living faith, a concrete testimony that Allah's promise is true. Finally, this last step is an invitation to gratitude. The chosen one recognizes that everything he possesses, everything he is, comes from Allah. He gives thanks for the blessings, visible and invisible, for the patience given in times of trial, for the strength in weakness. Gratitude is an act of worship that completes faithfulness and crowns the spiritual journey. The ultimate reward for this steadfastness and faithfulness is proximity to Allah in paradise, where joy is eternal and peace is infinite. The chosen believer can then contemplate the fruit of his efforts, the fulfillment of his hopes, and the satisfaction of his Lord. This is true victory, the greatest of achievements.